And we are live. Welcome to the NBA Strategy Show. It is Thursday, January 1st. Welcome to 2026, everybody. Happy New Year. I hope you guys had a good night, stayed safe, maybe won some money, depending on how the night went. But we are here. New year, same deal. We got to talk about the games for today. That is what we have going on for this lovely Thursday, January 1st. I am quite confident there aren't going to be a ton of you here, and I am very confident I'm not going to be here very long. So come on in, hang out quickly. We'll set the table for what this slate looks like, and then we are getting out of here because it's Thursday on New Year's, and no one's going to give a shit about this one at 9 a.m. I'm confident no one's waking up 6 a.m. on the West Coast thinking, damn, I got to get that strategy show in my life today. But we're here and we're breaking it down one way or the other. So I'm glad you guys are here. Hit that like button. Richie, Stephen Leibowitz, what's going on? Happy New Year. We got an unfun slate. Ooh, have to go shovel snow this morning. That's a unfun way to start the new year. What else is unfun? The fact that DraftKings didn't include the 6 o'clock game. I can't begin to understand why they did it. But DraftKings did not include the first game for today. FanDuel obviously did, so unsurprisingly, we have two separate slates, which is clearly annoying. But that's what we have today. Later tonight, you're going to get a deeper dive and a live before lock, but they're both solo editions. I will be back for the deeper dive where we will actually be able to dive deep into this slate. I'll go for 45 minutes. Greg will hop on and do live before lock for 45 minutes. Time undetermined. Right now, we were hoping both slates would be the same start. So at some point in time, we'll figure out how we actually want to do this. We might end up doing like two separates and flip-flop. There's no telling. Whatever Greg wants to do. But we have 5 games today. Houston at Brooklyn is the opener. That's the 6 o'clock game. 219.5 total. 11.5 point line, just a terrible basketball game. Miami, Detroit kicks it off on the DraftKings side in Detroit. Philly, Dallas at 8:30, so an hour and a half after the first game. Boston, Sacramento, 10 o'clock, so an hour and a half after the second game. Miami, Detroit will be over by the time the third game starts. And then Utah and the Clippers at 10:30 will probably get started right around the time Philly and Dallas is winding down. This is a very weird slate for late swap, especially on DraftKings, because when you go to swap at 8:20 for Philly, Dallas, and the games after that, you have a ton of information from Miami and Detroit. When you go to swap at 10 o'clock, you have infinite information for what your lineups look like. If you're not late swapping on a day like today with these big gaps, you are in deep, deep shit. Because your lineups are just going to be infinitely worse than everybody else's. Today is a really unique late swap day. If there were like 2 more games and it was still spread out like this, it'd be really fascinating. But hour and a half gap, that's big. Yeah, FanDuel, same situation. You get an extra hour for another game. Crazy. Off the subject after last night, I'm sure Trey is moving on. Look, somebody's got to be on the other end of that deal. Find the team. Trae Young, LaMelo Ball, Ja Morant, like, there's a lot of dudes out there right now that all play the exact same position. They're not all getting to get traded. But I also don't think there's a market anywhere for these guys. Look, I got nothing else to do but talk about dumb shit like this today. So for those of you that want to hear more about DFS, I'll put a timestamp in the comment section of this show so we can know when we get this started. But okay, so like, why would Brooklyn want to do it? What would Brooklyn gain from that? They just want to be like the 11th best team in the East, but give stuff up? I don't see it. If the price is nothing, then sure. I don't even necessarily think they're going to have enough real salaries to do it without getting a third team. Traded the Lakers with old man LeBron and Luka. How are they getting Trae Young without giving up LeBron's salary? He can't take it's the year he already has a contract. He can't take a pay cut. For real though, as I look at this, I think it's one of two things that happened. One is one of these guys, whether it's Ja, whether it's LaMelo, whether it's Trae Young, my assumption is we'll be surprised to see where one of these guys goes. But even more importantly, like, I have such a hard time finding the team that these guys are going to go to that it starts to feel like they're going to have to swap them for each other. So New Orleans is going to trade for DeJounte Murray and Trae Young in back-to-back years? Just recreate the 2 years ago Hawks with less assets? Who's going out if you want him to go to New Orleans? Zion? Jordan Poole's contract? Like, if you're trading for Trae Young, your goal is like, oh, we're going to be way better deep in the playoffs. Who's the team? Whether it's Trae or Ja or LaMelo or whatever, whichever point guard we want to pick. Igor Demon, 2 firsts for Trae. First, we got to get the salary there. 2, why would the Hawks do that? Why would the Hawks do that? They think they're good right now. They don't want to trade Trae Young for a guy worth nothing. Look, whatever we think about how Trae Young fits Atlanta, if you trade Trae Young away, you're losing like 7 or 8 wins from your team at minimum. You got to get something back. Igor fits with what the Hawks are doing with all the bigs. Yeah, he also got drafted like 20 points or 20 spots too high by the Nets. He has no value. I just look at these teams and I just can't figure it out. I don't like. Let's do an exercise because we don't really think about this a lot, but obviously none of these guys are going to the Thunder. Positions are pretty well locked down. The Rockets can do something. They do need a point guard. What they want to do is up in the air, but they obviously have the assets to make any deal they want. So no rush to make a bad deal. The Warriors are not going to be getting any of the guys we're talking about. They have no need for a point guard. The Celtics have no need for a point guard. The Cavs have no need for a point guard. The Spurs have no need for a point guard. The Knicks have no need for a point guard. Now, the Timberwolves are a natural destination for one of these guys. They have a hole at point guard. But for them to do this deal, somebody else actually good has to go out. Is DiVincenzo going? That causes its own problems. Is it Randall? Is it Reed? Is it Gobert? there's got to be a big salary going out one way. So they need a point guard, but they're also just lopping off another rotational piece. You can make a case for the Pistons. I don't think that would be for Ja or Trey. I think the Pistons would be more interesting with like LaMelo, but I don't think they're going to ever do that. And LaMelo Ball is not going to go play in Detroit. The Clippers have no ability to do anything of value. The Suns have no ability to do anything of value. The Sixers aren't doing anything for a point guard. They've got one. I don't know why the Heat would be in that business, but they're the Heat. They're a destination, so you never know. But Tyler Hero realistically would have to go out. You don't want to play any of these guys alongside Tyler Hero. The Hawks are a team we're talking about. No part of this seems like the Raptors would be that team. They seem like they've already made their decisions. Clearly, the Nuggets are a no. The Magic are a no. The Grizzlies have Ja Morant. The Lakers don't really have the mechanism to do it. And you already have Reeves and Lucas, so you're not exactly looking for another point guard ball handler. The Bulls have Giddey and something with Kobe White. Realistically, they could do it. You never know what the Bulls are going to do. They'll lose the trade if they do it. I don't know how the Bucks do anything. They're dead in the water right now, and they've got their own Giannis problem. The Hornets have LaMelo. The Mavs have Kyrie. The Blazers have young guys like Scoot. Maybe they want to make that move if they don't believe in Scoot and they want to try to use the Drew Holiday contract. I'd say the Blazers are probably like the weirdest team for this. You could always trade Jeremy Grant's contract. They stand out as a team that could make a move, especially with them being 14-20. That's like a little bit of a letdown for what we expected. The Nets are just a garbage team that has no path. The Pelicans are a garbage team that has no path. Now, these are teams that can make those moves, but like, what do they mean for the team that's getting them? The Pacers are clearly not doing it. We've got a Tyrese Halliburton guy around here. The Jazz aren't going to be getting any of these guys. There's no need for that. Realistically, the Wizards can do it, but they've got a smarter front office now. I don't think they're trying to cut the line, especially for these guys. Now, you can make a case that, like, I like the fit of Trey going to the Wizards, but they got a lot of young bodies. Even if you get Trey, what does that do? You just become like the 9th best team in the East? You're still 2-3 moves away. And then the Kings are always live to do anything because they're awful, but we just took that lap. Where's the upgrade? It's not out there. And because there's no natural path, that means there's no market, which means like the Hawks aren't going to trade him for what's out there. The only thing that really opens this up to me is a team that has real aspirations, pun intended, suffering an injury, but something they could fix. Houston's the wild card to me. A team with assets, a dead point guard salary, and the ability to go get anybody they want. I expect the trade deadline to be really tame. But I do think that if one domino goes, you could see like a bunch go just immediately in that 3 or 4 days. Amen fits the Hawks game. Amen, you think that Amen Thompson's going to be in a trade for Trae Young? The Rockets wouldn't take Trae Young for Amen Thompson straight up. The Hawks would need 4 draft picks. Amen Thompson is one of the like 10 most untradeable guys in the league. He's not in any deal. What's up with Fred VanVleet? Coming back from a blown out knee. Just a guy on a contract that they should trade. Yeah, I don't know where it happens. I really don't. Which is going to be very interesting for somebody like Trey, because he's on a player option next year. Like, something's got to give. I don't know what the landing spot is. Probably ends up being a team much shittier than the Hawks. But yeah, like, you're always just calling the Pelicans, you're calling the Bulls, you're calling the Kings, and you're hoping to steal the only good things they have. Like, if I'm the Hawks, I'm calling the Kings every day, trying to get Keegan Murray. Like eventually, or if I'm the Hawks, I'm calling the Pelicans, doing everything in my power to get Herb Jones or Trey Murphy. Like, get the good dudes or the guys that could be good. Let's see here now. I'm pretty sure Middleton's on a partially guaranteed contract for next year, but I could be wrong. No, totally unrestricted. Middleton, unrestricted. I thought he had a partial guarantee for next year, but full-on free agent. Giannis to my Knicks for Towns. Yeah, the Bucks would not want that. Yeah, the Bucks would not want that. No one would. No one would. Yeah, I don't know. That's the trade deadline will be fun. I'm clearly excited for it. It's like my favorite thing in the world. But yeah, I don't know. Not expecting it. Let's break down this slate quickly so we could send this show on our merry way. 4-game slate on DraftKings. First game up on the docket. Heat, Pistons, and we've got some question marks here. Let me filter this down so we could talk about it. So we have a little bit of ownership coming into this one, but nothing crazy. 25 to Javonte Green and Duren, 20 to Jovic, and then like basically 15 for Beef Stew, Davion, Paul Reed, Ron Holland, Norm Powell, Jaden Ivey, Khalil Ware, Cade Cunningham. So for Miami, Pelle Larsson is out. Obviously, Tyler Hero is still out. Simone Fontecchio is questionable, which will matter a little bit for today, just because of Larson being out. I mean, matter is relative. It just makes you feel better about the guys that all play. For the Pistons side, though, Karis LeVert is out. He missed their last one as well. Tobias Harris is doubtful, and that's why you're seeing the ownership right now to a $3,700 Javonte Green. The word on the street is that they're going to start double bigs, which would be Beef Stew and Duren. I think that makes some sense given the fact they're taking on Miami, and they'll be going with Ware and Bam. So the Pistons will look a little different. That's why you're seeing that ownership to Beef Stew. That's why you're seeing that ownership to Jalen Duren. That's why you're seeing ownership to Paul Reed right now. And we'll see what that ends up looking like in the future. But if the Pistons are starting double bigs, that typically means that Paul Reed is going to be a part of the rotation. One thing I want to point out for that. Now, this is just one game, so we don't have to go crazy for it here. But they had a game where these guys all started 10 games ago against the Bucks. We got 15 minutes out of Paul Reed. So keep an eye on that one. But for the most part, this is all flat. Like, finding something in this 10 to 20% own range is not easy, as best I can tell. But we're going to need news here. Keep your eye on Tobias Harris. Like, if he gets turned to questionable in the middle of the day, that'll be something. No real ownership to Cade, which I find mildly interesting for a 4-gamer. But because of late swap, I also don't really want a ton of this game. Because I don't think that anybody stands out. And because no one stands out, I'd rather just have more ownership later instead of trying to guess which of the 14 dudes in this game look the best. But that is the injury report right now for Miami and the Pistons. The second game on today's slate, the 8:30 start for the Sixers and the Mavs. Nothing all that interesting for the Sixers. Embiid is probable. The only people that aren't playing are the people that haven't been playing. For Dallas, same scenario. AD is in. Everybody that's out is typically out. So we're not really waiting on anything for Philly and for Dallas. But at the same time, also not that interesting of a game. Justin, it's going to take a lot more than Ivy and a first. You're going to need probably 2 to 3 unprotected picks and a swap. Also, probably Jazz don't want Ivy, given his contract status. It's probably going to take Ron Holland or Asar Thompson. Tobias Harris needs to be in that deal from a contract perspective. But it's going to take way more than one pick. Way more than one pick. I'd say at least 3 unprotected. I mean, think about what Desmond Bane got traded for. So Cooper Flagg's 25% owned. Brandon Williams is 25% owned. Paul George, slightly more owned than AD, but you've got this pack of basically 15% owned guys. Paul George, Anthony Davis, Joel Embiid. I mean, what do you do here? One of those 3 guys is liable to just die on the court today. They might all go to the locker room with an injury. But on a slate like today, I mean, we got to pay attention to them in some way. Personally, I would lean Anthony Davis in this group, mostly because of the MPE, but very unfun game. After you get past Embiid, no one's owned. Nothing really coming into PJ Washington, Edgecombe, Marshall, a $9,500 maxi. It's Flagg and Brandon Williams at the top. Embiid needs to be traded. I mean, that's legitimately impossible. This game's rough and ripe to make a lot of people very angry because of PG, AD, and Embiid. So be ready for that one because it's not going to be a good time. Celtics Kings. The Celtics are 10-point favorites in Sacramento. No injury news for Boston. Sacramento is still without Sabonis. Dylan Cardwell is with the G League. Levine still out. The Kings are really bad. Let's see. They are 2-8 in their last 10, 8-25 overall. Boston, obviously 20-12, 7-3 in their last 10. But this is a fantastic matchup for the Boston Celtics. That should not be all that surprising. But in terms of ownership, about 25 for Pritchard, about 25 for White. Jaylen Brown at 9,700, just 12% owned. Keita is 15. The highest owned guy for Sacramento is right out at 8. There is absolutely zero love coming into anything from the Sacramento Kings. Steven, your $6,900 DeRozan is 1% owned today. These guys are all really not good plays today. Now, because you can't trust the minutes for Precious Achiuwa. You can't trust the minutes for Nick Clifford. You can't even really trust the minutes for Westbrook or Schroeder. DeRozan's probably the only guy you could they aren't going to rip off the floor for a reason. I mean, Keegan Murray's 6,500. Realistically, he could play 39 minutes today based on what he was doing before, but I don't expect it. I have a hard time trusting anything from Boston that isn't one of the main three guys plus Kata. I don't want to roll. I don't want Anthony Simons. I don't want Jordan Walsh, who's been playing 9 minutes as a starter or something dumb. This game is equally awful. But again, I'd like to have a lot of it, given when it starts. The final game of the night, from an injury report perspective, Jazz Clippers. The Clippers are 12.5-point favorites here. It's the late night hammer. No Ace Bailey. No Yusuf Nurkic. No Kevin Love. Keontae George is questionable. Lauri Markkanen is questionable. Clippers are normal. There ain't nobody available for the Jazz tonight, potentially. Look at this stuff. For real. As of right now, they have 11 guys. But Keontae George and Markkanen are both questionable. If either one of them are out, that frees up 35 minutes. Filipowski should start. He could play upwards of 38 minutes today, like he did 2 weeks ago. They never play Oscar Tshiebwe. But with no Nurkic and no Kevin Love, I wouldn't be surprised if Oscar Tshiebwe actually steps foot on the floor for once. They didn't play Kyle Anderson or Svi Mikhailiuk in their last game. I think those guys see the floor, but they could concentrate minutes even more. Bryce Sensabaugh played 39 last time out. Now, I only have him in for 31, but interesting. Slow-mo could realistically play a ton today. The Jazz are a complete wild card. And if this slate goes the way that it can, those two Q tags might exist at 7 o'clock. I would rather just have a shit ton of this team and figure it out later, because I know I'm going to have a shit ton of the Clippers, and now I'll show you why. Clippers in, Utah in. 65% ownership to James Harden. 55% to Kawhi Leonard. Even if there's negative leverage here, these are going to be 40 and 50% owned dudes. Bryce Sensabaugh, 50% owned. Filipowski's 30. Brook Lopez is 20. Chris Dunn is 20. And then there's something in Isaiah Collier, Taylor Hendricks, Walter Clayton. I think you can get to Markkanen today at 8K. He's 5% owned if he's in. Keontae George is 3.5% owned if he's in. I think both of those guys are amazing GPP options. But they could get ruled out at 10 o'clock, and this is the only game you have left for. That will get dicey. At some point in time, Derek Jones Jr. is going to keep playing more minutes, but he's not a great per-minute guy, so I don't know if that'll ever matter. But this game is a mess. The good news is you can have a ton of it at lock and slowly chip away at it if you want to. What a setup, though. Wow, I made it to 9:30. That's fun. All right, I'm going to look at the optimal lineup on DraftKings and FanDuel for right now, and then I am getting out of here because of obvious reasons. It's New Year's Day, and this slate's a mess already. Optimal on DK. Peyton Pritchard, Bryce Sensabaugh, Cooper Flagg, Javonte Green, Paul Reed, Harden, Leonard, Lopez. Interesting lineup. The Paul Reed one will come down, by the way. I don't anticipate that sticking around all day. On FanDuel, reminder, one extra game. Optimal lineup to start the day. Cade Cunningham, Peyton Pritchard, Derek White, Jaden Ivey, Jaylen Brown, Javonte Green, Paul George, Isaiah Stewart, Neemias Queta. Yeah, no Thursday night football today, so no perfect lineup today. All we've got is the NBA and whatever's going on in the NHL. I have no idea. If there are games, watch them. If there are not, play basketball. I assume there's an NFL show coming up after this. And again, tonight, there will be a deeper dive. There will be a live before lock. It's probably going to be 5:30 to 7 o'clock. That might change. It might go a little earlier because of the FanDuel slate. But pay attention to our YouTube channel. We will update the event with the proper time once I get a chance to talk to Greg. I wasn't going to send him a DM at 6 a.m. like, hey, what's the plan for tonight on New Year's Day? No, I'm not going to do that. Not going to do that. So yeah, look, that's where we stand. It's New Year's Day. I'm going to pump out some content later today, put it out on Tails. Check it out on Twitter as well. But for now, we set the table here, guys. It's the first day of 2026. Go get a coffee, go get some breakfast, enjoy your day. Watch all things at Stochastic. Sign up using the link in the description. Start it off right now. Come on in for the first day of the year and enjoy the rest of your 2026. Good luck.